Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our viewers and welcome on Youth Matters with me, your host. Thank you so much for joining on today's program on Hidayat TV. And I would like to wish you all a very happy Eid Zahra Mubarak. And we're welcoming the third month of the Islamic calendar as well, the month of Rabiul Awwal, and we're already bidding farewell to Muharram and Safar for this Islamic year. I think that time has really flown so fast, and so much has happened throughout, especially this year as well as in the holy months of Muharram and Safar. And today marks a great day for all of us because today is a great day of celebration. And we're going to be looking into why. Now, when we talk about Rabiul Awwal itself translates in literal term the first spring. So this holy month also carries a lot of good blessings into it. Now, if you come to think of it, Allah has designed these months in a certain way where one can feel different. For example, the way there are seasons, right? The way there are moods. So, for example, when we had the morning months of Azadari, we were all into mourning, and we knew that okay, now this is the time where we have to really mourn over Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And so right now is the time when even the Ahlul Bayt, are happy, and they rejoice. And why is that is what we will come to know in a few minutes, inshallah. What is the history behind the celebration of Eid al-Zahra? How do we Shia celebrate Eid al-Zahra, and what is the significance of Eid al-Zahra? Now, there are a lot of narrations and ahadith about this that we will look into, but mainly Eid al-Zahra, as you can understand from the term Eid al-Zahra, from the name itself, it means that Bibi Zahra Salamullahi alayha's Eid. So on this day, Bibi Fatima, became very happy. Why did she become so happy? Because this was the day when finally the enemies, who had slain Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions on the plains of Karbala, were finally, killed and brought to Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, according to some narrations. Also, it is with this important event that we celebrate Eid al-Zahra, and we sincerely ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the return of his final proof. And who is that? Our Imam of this time, Imam Zamana Ajallahu ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So through the justice that the Imam will show, this day will truly be marked as the day of Eid for Bibi Fatimatul Zahra Salamullahi alayha and all her true followers. Now, if we just, uh, reflect and wonder that why is it that, Eid al-Zahra falls on the 9th of Rabiul Awwal as well? Well, if we look into history, the, for example, the extraordinary 2-month period of Azadari, morning climax, reaches its climax when? With the death of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, on the 8th of Rabiul Awwal is when we commemorate the Shahadat. So the day that follows, according to tradition, is the greatest Eid celebration for the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and that is why it is known as Eid al-Zahra. As we can all recall, this past 70-day period has seen the commemoration of the martyrdom of no less than 6 infallibles. That's right. We commemorated the shahadat of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the 28th of Safar, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam Ali Rada alayhi salam, and Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam during the holy month of Safar. In addition, we also marked the death of other personalities such as Hadrat Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam, Bibi Masuma Yaqum salamullahi alayha, and the companions and friends of the Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the plains of Karbala. So finally, after such a period of sorrow, we remove the mourning and black from our place of worship, and we go forth to implement the lessons learned during these last months. Now, here is the thing, most of us, I think a lot of people have this misconception that what is Eid al-Zahra, and it's something new, and we just know about the main Eids that are like Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Ghadir, Eid al-Mubahila. So Eid al-Zahra is considered as a very significant Eid because it is considered as a second Eid al-Ghadir. That's right. It has that much of an importance. So for anybody, who says that, we should not celebrate Eid al-Zahra is actually going against the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Why? Because this is not just something that is cultural or traditional just because some certain communities or societies have been doing it, or maybe because it's been passed down as a legacy or something. No, this is something that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam themselves had done it, and this is a part of our Islam and our Deen. And we see a lot of narrations and traditions that are connected to it, like we have sources, we have proofs that say so. So it's not something that is just created or said in air. Now, one of the most important things that we mark is the first official day of the leadership of our living Imam Muhammad al-Mahdi Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif Hujjat ibn al-Hasan al-Askari. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasten his return. As narrated in our du'as, ziyarat and traditions, the return of our 12th Imam will mark the revenge of the blood spilled in Karbala. Now, when we look into the historical events of this day of 9th Rabiul Awal, there are many to start from. Number one is that narrators of history suggest four historic events which mark the day of 9th of Rabiul Awal. Some historians are of the opinion that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born on the 9th of Rabiul Awal. Now there are two other opinions to this. So some say 12th Rabiul Awal and some say 17th of Rabiul Awal respectively. Now for us, of course, Shias, right, the most popular narration is the one which states that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born on the 17th of Rabiul Awwal. Whatever the case, the day does not make a difference because Ayatollah Ruhullah Musawi al-Khomeini radiallahu anhu also, the founder of the Islamic Revolution, had declared the week between 9th and 17th of Rabiul Awwal as Usbu' al-Wahda, meaning the week of unity amongst Muslims. So Muslims all over the world are urged to get together and celebrate, this Eid Miladun Nabi, which inshallah we will be celebrating next week on the 17th of Rabiul Awwal as the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So this is one, yeah. Secondly, in regards to the importance of this day of 9th Rabiul Awwal, it is noted that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was seen smiling and celebrating once in the gathering in the city of Medina on this day, while in the presence of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And these are words that he mentioned and said that it is on this day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy your enemies and the enemies of your grandfather. And it is on this day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept the actions of your Shia and those who love you. So this is the day when the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came true, where he said in the glorious Quran, so those are the houses fallen down because they were unjust. You will find this in Surah number 27, ayat number 52. that this is the day when the Fir'aun of the time of the Ahlul Bayt was destroyed. So when I mentioned that this was the day when the killers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam were finally killed, and justice was brought to the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, this was the day when Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam finally, gave the orders to his family members that now let us stop mourning and let us, become happy. And of course, they couldn't forget the sorrow and the torture that they went through in Karbala, of course. But they say that 5 years after the event of Karbala had taken place, uh, the family members of the Ahlul Bayt never ate well, or they never dressed up, as in they never wore anything that was of color, and they never smiled even. So that says a lot. Now, there's another tradition that we find, another narration that we find about the ninth of Rabiul Awwal, that why is it known as Eid al-Zahra, meaning the festival of Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha, is because 3 to 4 years after the tragedy of Karbala, it was on this day that joy and happiness was restored in the family of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So from the tragedy of Karbala, which took place in 61 AH, till this day, the family members of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had continuously mourned and grieved the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And then we all know that it was Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, together with Ibrahim ibn Malik al-Ashtar's son, and there were some other companions who rose to avenge the blood of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and they arrested every killer of Karbala and executed them. So finally, Mukhtar, arrested Umar ibn Sa'd, who was the commander in chief of Yazid's army at Karbala, and Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, who was the governor of Yazid in Kufa, and he beheaded them and sent their heads to Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein al-Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam in Medina. Now, what happened was that when these two heads, especially these two heads, the names that I mentioned, uh, when they reached Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam on the ninth of Rabiul Awal, and on seeing them, Imam alayhi salam went into prostration. He went into sajda shukr, and he said that I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who kept me alive to this day so that I could see the heads of the tyrants who killed my father, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So that is when Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam instructed his family members to remove the clothes of mourning, adorn themselves, and celebrate the day with joy and happiness. And you know we have to be happy on this situation regardless of any sort of uh, hardships or struggles that we personally are going through in our lives. That is to say that even, for example, if someone really close or someone beloved passed by, in our families or within our communities or circles, we need to put that aside on this day, and we need to celebrate this day. Why? Because I'm sure everybody knows this, that when the Ahlul Bayt are happy, we should be happy, and when they are sad, we should be sad along with them. And so, because this is a day of happiness for the Ahlul Bayt, we need to contribute towards their happiness. So as far as it goes to things such as, okay, maybe someone passed away, or maybe there's a funeral or whatever, we can always, of course, give that time, but we can put that aside, and we can also partly participate in Eid al-Zahra. um, there's another thing, and that is the fourth historic, event that marks ninth of Rabiul Awwal, which is the main one, right? So mostly, like most of our scholars, most of our ulamas believe that this is the main reason why we celebrate Eid al-Zahra on the ninth of Rabiul Awwal, and that is because this is the day of glory, honor, dignity, and blessings. It is known as Eid Shuja. And also in Urdu, we say Taj Poshi, right? So, whose Taj Poshi are we doing? Why are we saying that this is a Taj Poshi day? Because Taj Poshi means this is the day of crowning, right? So, who are we crowning on this day? It is the first day of the Imamat of our living Imam, Imam Al Mahdi alayhi salam. So that is why it is a great day of rejoicing and celebration. Now, it is true that an imam is an imam from birth, but every imam assumed the official role of his imamat after the death of the previous imam. Now, the reason why we celebrate in particular the imamat of our living imam, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasten his return, is to perhaps remind ourselves of his presence and about our responsibilities towards him. Now, without a shadow of doubt, yes, it is very difficult for us sometimes to, always remind ourselves of his presence, that the imam is really like he's alive, and he's with us and he's watching us, and he's with us in every situation. But sometimes it becomes so difficult to understand that, because we can't visibly see him, right? He's not visible to our eyes. And so that is why uh, you know it is so important sometimes for us to understand through these events that the imam is really present, because it brings awareness to our minds. It awakens our souls, and it reminds us that we really should start thinking about him, if that is where if we're not. Of course, we all know we are, but still sometimes. So now, when his father, and that is our 11th imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, passed away on the 8th of Rabiul Awwal in 260 AH, and our 12th imam, Imam alayhi salam, assumed his imamat formally at a young age of 5 years on the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, is why we celebrate Eid al-Zahra. So, one of the ways which we can strive to be amongst the companions of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is to, follow certain responsibilities which rest upon us. I don't know how many of us do this, but it is so good to recite dua ahad. I mean, it is highly recommended by many of our ulamas and scholars, and even just at home, sometimes within our family members, we should recite it, because dua ahad is a pledge that inshallah, when the imam will appear, we will be able to be with him and support him, and we will not be against him, and all of that. So every morning, I think that we should make this a habit, where we can just recite dua ahad, where we proclaim that, the verses are really very, very interesting to understand if we read upon the translation, that it says, "O Allah, truly I renew on the dawn of this day and all the dawns of the remainder of my life, to pledge and give my allegiance to Imam al Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif as my obligation, which I shall neither contravene nor neglect. O Allah, include me among his helpers, defenders, those fulfilling his wishes and commands, his defenders, the forerunners to carry out his intentions, and those to be martyred in his presence. O Allah, make him the refugee for your oppressed servants, a helper for him who has no other helper besides you. You, the reviver of the commandments of your book, which have been neglected, the strengthener of the sciences in your religion and the traditions of your prophet. May Allah's blessing be upon him and his progeny." So this is, I've obviously read the translation of the dua for us to understand that what it actually means. We are asking for, aid and help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when Imam alayhi salam will, will reappear, we should be on his side. Oftentimes we think that just because, we're doing azadari, just because we're attending majalises, and just because, we're we're even doing, I mean, performing all our obligatory actions, we will 110% be with the Imam of our time. Well, we really don't know. We don't have an answer to that. I mean, nobody can guarantee about the situation then, because at that time the situation will be very sensitive, and it will be so difficult to get diverted by many distractions. We've got so many distractions right now, in the 21st century, right now, as things are progressing in life. It's becoming so difficult to actually find our own true purpose. So at that time, which is not far. It's very, nearby. We can see from a lot of signs of, when they say Akhir Zaman signs, right? So we're seeing a lot of that. That means time is really close. And we need to really work on ourselves, and we need to realize that are we, inshallah, we hopefully pray that, when the Imam will call out to us, we should be the ones to, attend, and the way we say that we should be there to say labbaik to him, right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us that guidance at that time as well, because at that time we really don't know our situation. Sometimes it even happens so that maybe someone who's, really been sinful, but maybe he is really repented to Allah. Maybe it could be during his last moments as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafoor and Rahim. He is all merciful, and He is the one who will make the final decision. He's going to be the judge. So you never know. Sometimes, if all of his sins are forgiven, maybe he can also, be uh, in Imam's army, and we shouldn't be surprised, because there are lots of stories, if you read, where people who are, diverted from the right path were and finally repented. Yeah, so there is a condition to that. I'm not saying that, oh, someone who's just been sinful all throughout their life, and they're like guaranteed that, somehow just because of one good deed they're gonna be forgiven and everything's gonna be fine. Very, very rare. In very rare cases, depends on what amal they have done that really pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their entire sins to be forgiven. But what I'm trying to say is that, we work hard, like we do what we can, we do our best, and then in the end as well, we pray to Allah that, during our final moments as well, when things are very difficult, is for us not to get diverted towards the wrong path due to a lot of distractions. We can maintain our strength, our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can uphold to the right path of Imam Zamana Ajallahu Ta'ala Faraja Sharif. Now, there is a hadith about Imam Muhammad al Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Faraja Sharif, where the Holy Prophet, yes, where the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned that the world will not come to an end until a man from my family, Ahlul Bayt, and one of my name shall be master of the world. When you see a green ensign coming from the direction of Khorasan, that means Iran, then join them, for the Imam of God will be with the standards who will be called Al Mahdi. So obviously, that Prophet Muhammad's name is Muhammad, and so he's referring to the Muhammad of the last, the final Imam, and who is that? Imam Muhammad Al Mahdi, and he's saying that he will appear from the direction of Khorasan, Iran. Now, over here as well, there are different opinions. Yes, there will be, groups, right, who will be supporting Imam. So the groups will be appearing from Khorasan, from Qum in particular. That is why Qum is known as one of the doors of Jannat as well. And that is one of the doors where Imam's true followers will appear. And Imam al-Mahdi will appear from the Holy Kaaba. uh, we've read this a lot of times in history. We've read it we've heard it and listened to it in our majalises as well. Imam alayhi salam will make his presence in the Holy Kaaba. So that will be a place where, Imam will be seen as well, and he will be calling out to his true followers. So this is one thing. Now, there is another hadith about what should we do on the 9th of Rabiul Awwal according to our Ahlul Bayt alayhim assalam. So Ahmad bin Ishaq al-Qummi was a great companion of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam. On the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, Muhammad Hamadani and Yahya Baghdadi, these were two companions. They came to visit Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam and were informed that they came to visit Ahmad bin Ishaq al-Qummi. Sorry, so they were informed that Ahmad bin Ishaq al-Qummi was busy performing ghusl, ablution, for that day. So when they inquired that what was the ghusl about, why is he performing this, they were told that he had heard from the 10th Imam, Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, who had said that 9th of Rabiul Awwal is the day of Eid. It is our greatest Eid and the Eid of our followers, and therefore we should celebrate it just like we celebrate Eid. So now what do we do on Eid? Of course, on Eid we dress up, we do ghusl, and we are all happy. We wear nice clothes, we perfume ourselves, and we are happy, right, for celebrations. So similarly, what we do on the other normal regular Eids is what needs to be done on this Eid al-Zahra as well. So after performing his ghusl, this Ahmad al-Qummi said to the two visiting men that I have performed ghusl because today is the Eid of 9th Rabiul Awwal, and I visited Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam on this day, and I noticed that he was wearing a ring in his hand which was shining. And so the people of his household wore new clothes and had applied perfume. And so when I asked the reason to Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, he mentioned the same thing and said that I'm doing this because today is the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, and it is the day of Eid for us and for our followers. You can find this hadith reference in Chauda Sitare book. So if you need to go back for references or anything. So as we have understood, like from today's talk and discussion, overall, what we understand is that the reason why we celebrate Eid al-Zahra is not just because it is part of our culture or tradition, but it is something which really carries a significant message from our Ahlul Bayt alayhim assalam. Our Imams did this, and so of course we have to follow the teachings of our Imams, right? That's the whole point. Also, there is something that I would like to bring in from the Holy Quran to add, more value and importance to why we celebrate Eid al-Zahra. So, a very well-known, renowned scholar, Sayyid Muhammad al-Musawi, who is originally from Iraq and heads up the World Ahlul Bayt Islamic League in London, other than being involved in various humanitarian projects, he frequently gets, asked such type of Islamic questions and fiqh questions and all of that. So he was also asked that why is Eid al-Zahra celebrated on the 9th of Rabiul Awwal? And this is what he said. He says that it is one of the big days of happiness for Ahlul Bayt. It is mentioned as the second Eid al-Ghadir. It is the day of the end of one of the main enemies of Lady Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And in the Holy Quran, we read that the believers celebrate and rejoice the end of the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah number 30, verse 4. So this is something that I found, and I thought that I should share it as well. And obviously we have understood now that why Eid al-Zahra is celebrated. Now, if anybody says that we should not celebrate Eid al-Zahra, is like you are going against the rulings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Also, to add on, when we celebrate Eid al-Zahra, right? What happens is that in some of our communities, in some of our societies, I think mostly the Asian ones, I'm not sure, but what we see is that people really get so hyped up about this Eid that they actually start celebrating it in a much more, I would say, a very like not decent way. You know, it's pretty like not decent, in a very indecent manner. Meaning like, okay, now you've done your azadari in these 2 months of Muharram and Safar, and now suddenly, just because it's the 9th of Rabiul Awwal, now you're like partying and like dancing and going out clubbing and celebrating it with music and all of that and going into mixed gatherings. So now that's not what uh, you know, that's not how either 9th of Rabiul Awwal, Eid al-Zahra is actually supposed to be celebrated, right? So, this is a type of an Eid where we need to be happy, we need to celebrate it, we need to be happy, but then we need to do it in a very humble and a very decent manner, the way the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam expect us to do. So we need to be very careful about this because oftentimes it happens. So I mean, I've seen it. I've witnessed this with my by myself. I've seen it. Like people actually just change. The the last 2 months of Muharram and Safar, there's something else, and then when this Eid al-Zahra comes, it's just someone else. So like we need to just really sometimes humble ourselves. I'm not saying that everybody's perfect. I'm not perfect as well. We all make mistakes and we learn from it, but what the least we can do is that we need to bring that awareness within our societies, that we need to slow it down and not take it, not notch it up to that level. Now we're actually forgetting about our religion and our roots because we don't want to give a wrong impression to the non-Muslims. We don't want to give a wrong impression to other faiths, to other religions, to other communities, that, what are these Shias doing? Like first they cry on Imam Hussein and all of that, and the next thing you see that they're celebrating and partying like wild animals, right? Yeah, so these are some of the phrases that people actually do say, and so we need to be careful about it. So, just in general, a very short message is that please do celebrate it. Yes, celebrate it with your family, go out, enjoy, have fun, attend majalises, of course. It is highly recommended on this day to, attend the jashans, right? The celebrations that are happening in the mosques, or, celebrations at home within your family, as long as like you're doing some zikr of the Ahlul Bayt, you're reciting, you're praising, you're doing something, and, making some du'as and supplications, like that is the best way to do it, basically. And that's the most, like the most humble of manners. You can do something like that. So that is one thing. And to end today's program, since it is, a Jashan program, it is a day of celebration and rejoice. It would be also nice to hear one or two manqabats or qasidas, to enlighten today's program more, and to fill our hearts with more happiness, right? So we have a reciter joining us today, Ayan Ali Naqvi. I would like to thank Brother Ayan Ali Naqvi for contributing and for taking out his precious time for his beautiful recitation. So I would like to thank him, and I would like all of you to celebrate Eid al-Zahra. Look forward to this month of Rabiul Awwal because it is a great day, a great month filled with a lot of wiladats and a lot of happiness, and it is a boost, a motivation for us as humans, yeah, to carry on our months and our year with happiness. Forget a little about our worries, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us more. Thank you very much for tuning on today's program. I would like to ask for your leave. This is your host Sakina Habib. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.